everyone. Thank you for joining us via Zoom today, and congratulations on your admittance to Hobart and William Smith. We are going to be talking about studying abroad, but before we get started, I'd like to ask everyone to keep their microphones on mute. This session is being recorded for future viewers, and we would like to limit extra noise as much as possible. Any questions that you have can be submitted via the chat feature, and we will answer them later in the session. So to start, my name is Shayna Riggins, and I am a junior at Hobart and William Smith from Brooklyn, New York. I am a Media and Society major in Spanish and Africana's double minor. I studied abroad in fall of 2019 in Seville, Spain. And recently I've accepted a media internship at HWS based in New York City this summer that I'm really excited about. On campus, I'm a Media and Society teaching fellow and programming assistant for the Center of Global Education. And last week, I just finished an international internship for a French company, Creative Talents Worldwide, working as a visual curator and social media manager. And I'm looking forward to pursuing my master's within the media field when I graduate next year. I am here today with Tom D'Agostino, Dean of Global Education at HWS, and classmate Josh Hilkema. Josh, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I also congratulate you on your acceptance to Hobart and William Smith. My name is Josh Hilkema, and I am a senior from Batavia, New York. I'm a history major and a member of the Hobart football team. I am also a member of the 3 honor societies that we have here for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. That would be the Orange Key, Chimera, and Druid Honor Society. I work in the Center for Global Education, and I studied in the Netherlands during the spring of 2020 when my semester abroad was cut short by the pandemic. But since then, I was connected through HWS to an internship at Lafreniere Law Firm in Brussels, Belgium, through one of our partner schools, Vesalius College. It was good. It was a really good fit for me because I'm also studying for the LSAT, and hopefully we'll be attending law school shortly. And I'm also looking at possibly taking master's programs in Vesalius and in the Netherlands as well. To get the conversation started, Tom, would you be able to tell us more about your background and how you've been able to help students and can help students in the Center for Global Education office?
Sure. I'll add my welcome to everybody. We're glad that you're here, and congratulations on your acceptance. I do want to encourage you while we're talking, as questions come up, please do send them to us. We'll be glad to address them. And a little bit about myself. I've been at HWS now for 21 years. I've overseen the Center for Global Education during that whole time. I originally started my career as a political science professor at another institution, and I got involved in study abroad, probably about 25 years ago now. And I found actually that I liked it even more than teaching. I'm a little bit biased, I admit, when I say this, but I think for an undergraduate student, the opportunity to go and spend a significant amount of time, a full semester or whatever the case may be, studying in another part of the world is about the most unique experience that you can have. And I found that was, even for me professionally, more rewarding than teaching. And so I made a career change and came to HWS so that I could spend full time designing and creating and helping to run study abroad programs. And so we have a staff of 5 people in the Center for Global Education, and we're a pretty busy office on campus because over 60% of our students during their time at HWS participate in study abroad. That's something I'm really proud of, and I think it's something that sets us apart as an institution. So I'll tell you a little bit about more detail on that in a little bit. But in terms of how you would come to interact with us, hopefully if you're on campus in the fall, even as the beginning couple of weeks of your first semester, we want you to start engaging with our office. And one of the easiest things that you can do, we haven't set the exact date yet, but usually somewhere around the first week in September, between the 7th and the 10th or thereabouts, we'll have something called the HWS Abroad Information Session. And that's our big recruitment session that we do each semester for upcoming study abroad programs. And even as a new student on campus, that's a great thing for you to come to learn about the types of programs that we offer, and to hear from students like Shana and Josh who have studied abroad and who help us to try and promote the programs and act as peer mentors and peer advisors. The other thing that you should do as soon as you get on campus is start talking with your advisor. It's never too early to start planning for study abroad. And the more information that you get, the better prepared that you can be when the time comes to apply to go abroad. So the main thing I want to do today is to encourage you to seek us out as soon as you're on campus. We do come out into first year seminar classes to talk about our programs. And we certainly hope that you'll come and attend our meetings and get more information.
Definitely. And the general information system, the meeting is so helpful in terms of all of the study abroad options that are available here. But with the global pandemic still unknown, when do you think, Tom, in what semester do you think the study abroad programs might take place again?
So this is the big question that everybody's wondering. For the past couple of semesters, we haven't been able to run programs, obviously, but we're actively planning to have programs during the upcoming fall 2021 semester. And there have been a couple of countries that have indicated that they will not be accepting international visitors until later on in the fall. Australia, for example. So our big program that we offer in Australia, we won't be able to offer in the fall, but the majority of our programs are still planned to go forward. We're actively assessing that's what my job has turned into is looking at conditions in other countries and how our partner institutions abroad are preparing for having students on campus. But we're pretty optimistic that we'll have fall programs and then a number of short-term programs during the upcoming J term, which would be next December and January during the semester break. So that's what we're planning on right now.
All right, perfect. Moving forward, can you talk a bit about how the faculty-led HWS study abroad program are unique in their nature, and where these programs are traditionally held each year?
Sure. So we have about 50 different program options around the world. Some are offered every semester, some every other semester, so the schedule varies a little bit. And we also offer what we refer to them as different models of programs. And what Josh was referring to, we call the faculty-led model. And about a quarter of our programs are faculty-led. And what that means is that a faculty member from HWS, or in a couple of cases where we share programs with another school, a faculty member from one of our partner institutions, actually goes abroad with a group of our students, and they will offer one or two classes to the students. And then the students will take other classes from a host institution or a partner institution abroad. And I believe Shana did one of those programs in Seville, where one of our faculty members from our Spanish department went and taught a class, but she had the opportunity to also take classes from local Spanish faculty, which is a really great experience. And a number of our students really gravitate toward that model. They have a pre-existing relationship with a faculty member, maybe that they've taken a class with on campus or that they know from somewhere. And that model really appeals to them. But because we have such a diverse student body in terms of what they're studying and what they're interested in, we also have other models of programs. So Josh, for example, participated in a program at a school in the Netherlands, University College Maastricht. And that's one of our exchange partners. And what that means is every semester we send students to UCM, and they also send students back to us at HWS. So it's really nice that we have a bunch of international students on our campus from these institutions, and students like Josh get to know them before they actually go and spend a semester at the partner school. And one other model of program that we have is called an affiliate or a partner program, where we send students to institutions that specifically focus on study abroad. I don't need to probably get into too much more detail than that, but the point is that we do have a number of our faculty who lead programs abroad, which is great because they bring back all of that international experience and knowledge, as do the students, to their classes. But we have a variety of different types of programs to meet the really varied different needs of our students. Oh, Josh, I'm sorry, you also asked where those programs are located. So our faculty-led programs, we have programs in Galway, Ireland, on the west coast of Ireland, and in Rome, Italy, every semester that are led by faculty. Every fall semester, we have a science-focused program in Queensland, Australia, in the city of Brisbane. That is a really unique field science program. We have a fall program every year in Vietnam. And then every spring, we offer programs in Auckland, New Zealand, and those vary in terms of the academic focus. And then every other fall semester, we have programs in Spanish-speaking countries, in Seville, Spain, the one that I mentioned Shana did, and also in Mendoza, Argentina. So that's our kind of menu of faculty-led programs.
Definitely, and I think that the preparation going to Spain, which is what we're going to get into next, one of the hallmarks of studying abroad with HWS is the pre-departure and re-entry programming provided to students who choose to go abroad. Can you explain what that programming is and why it is beneficial to students?
Yeah, this is something that's really quite unique, and something that we have focused a lot on. And as I mentioned, I started my career as a professor, as an academic. So the sort of academic quality of our programs and the educational opportunities that they provide is something really important to me. So when I came to HWS, one of the things I was asked to do was to really enhance the students' experiences abroad. And that can be done in all sorts of ways. And one of the things that we've done is developed what we call pre-departure and reentry programming. And I just put a link up in the chat. And what I think I'd like to do, if I can, is share my screen with you. And I'm not 100% sure that I am going to be able to do this very effectively. Let's see. Okay, I think I did that correctly. So on our website, and I gave you the link in the chat, but this is a link to our pre-departure and reentry programming pages. They mainly focus on reentry programming right now, but the idea behind this is we want to do all that we can to better prepare you for your experience going abroad, so that you can take full advantage of the opportunities that you have while you are there to accomplish the goals that you want, to have a great academic experience, and also to have a great intercultural experience. So we recruit students a full year in advance for our programs. And that means that this coming fall, for example, when you're on campus, we would be recruiting for students who want to go abroad in fall 2022. By about Thanksgiving time, everybody that's going to be going abroad in the fall, or most everybody, will already know that. So that means we have over a full semester to work with you to kind of prepare you for that experience. And that ranges from kind of basic, how do you get a passport? How do you get a visa? How do you pack your life into 2 suitcases and spend 4 months abroad? Some of the sort of more basic logistical stuff, to helping you think about what it is you want to accomplish abroad through something we call goal setting. Doing sort of intercultural preparation. What is it like to go to another country where you may not necessarily speak the language? What's it like to deal with culture shock and that sort of thing? And again, all of that is designed to help you hit the ground running, so to speak. Most of our students study abroad for a full semester, which is really great. And that's about 15 weeks. But it's really surprising how quickly that 15 weeks goes by. And if you spend the first couple of weeks trying to get your your feet under you or dealing with homesickness or whatever the case may be, you've wasted a lot of your time abroad, and we don't want you to do that. So the more we can do to prepare you for your experience, the better. On the return, again, because I'm very invested in sort of the educational opportunities that study abroad provides, we don't want the learning for you to stop when you get on the plane to come home. And that may sound kind of odd, but what I mean by that is we want you to take all of that 15 weeks of experience and use that as a foundation for the rest of your academic career at HWS and beyond. We want you to continue to process and think about your experiences while you're abroad. And what I'm showing you on the screen here are some of the things that we do with students when they return to campus. And you can kind of look through the detail of these pages when you have time, but we have things for students who are just coming back to campus we call reentry resources. And these are things to help students kind of deal with the unexpected, which is reverse culture shock. After you've spent 4 months abroad, coming home can be a little bit disorienting. And there's a diagram here that kind of explains it to you, and different suggestions and strategies of, now that you've been abroad and have come back to the US, what can you expect? And what are some things that you can do to help you kind of reacclimate to your life back in the US and on our campus? Also, one of the things we most want you to do when you return, we want you to continue to think about and process your experience, but we also want you to share that experience. And so there's a lot of different things that we do that can help you do that. And that's a great opportunity for students who are coming back, because they're usually bursting with enthusiasm, and they're looking for opportunities and people to talk to their experiences about. And we want to give those students those opportunities. So we have paid positions in our office, for example. Josh and Shayna both work for us as what we call programming assistants. And we hire students who have come back from abroad to kind of, again, act as peer mentors to help us at our recruitment sessions and in preparing students to go abroad. We also do something called the Global Cafe. And every week or every other week, students who have returned from abroad can do something to share their experience. And these can be more academically oriented presentations if students want to do that, or it can be playing music from the country that you lived in, or sharing something unique about the food or the culture. And these are just informal opportunities for students to get together and talk about what it was like to be in Spain or the Netherlands or South Africa or wherever the case may be. I won't go through all of these, but one I did want to show you that's pretty unique is a journal that we produce called the Aleph. This is a journal for return study abroad students. And I'm just going to point out, if you click this link, you can actually go through and read the latest edition of the journal. And what this is designed to do, it features artwork and photography and all sorts of different written work from students who have been abroad or international students who are on our campus. And it just gives you a sense of what study abroad is like for our students. So if you're thinking about study abroad, and I certainly hope that you are, take a look at this journal, and it'll give you a really interesting perspective on what study abroad is like for students at HWS. Some of these other things we do a lot with photography. We do stuff called digital storytelling, which is teaching students how to take an interesting experience that they had abroad and make a short film about it. And then a lot of our students, we have a class for students who have returned from abroad. We call Continuing the Journey. We have an open mic night. And this one is really interesting because many of our students are interested in community service and service learning. And it's great when we can get our return study abroad students who are interested in these opportunities out into the local community to share their experience with local school kids or whoever the case may be. Some of our students teach abroad, and having them go out into Geneva schools and do things in our community. It's just a great way to help to internationalize our campus and our local community with the experiences that our students have. So I'll leave the rest of it to you to, and I'll stop sharing my screen now. You can kind of go through those pages on your own. But this is one of the things that really sets us apart. For us, study abroad is really a multi-semester experience. It's more than just the semester you're away. And students seem to really like that.
All right. Thank you, Tom. So now we get to kind of go over some of the questions you all have. So we have a couple already, but if you have any, please feel free to drop them in the chat while we're answering them, and we'll be sure to get get to as many as we can. For the first one, it was actually sent to me directly, but I think everyone would, benefit from hearing my experience with my internship with Vesalius College. The student just asked if I could explain a bit more about that internship itself. So due to the fact that it's been difficult to get students abroad this past year and a half, and given that I had to come home early, our Center for Global Education and our Career Services Office were able to partner with Vesalius College and a few other colleges to offer remote international internships. And this is something really amazing that I was able to take advantage of. So this was offered to students who, weren't able to go abroad or had their, abroad semester cut short. So I applied and was able to then apply to the internship directly through the college there in Brussels. And it's with a law firm. And what I'm doing is researching EU legislation, case law, and different press releases that are published by the EU Commission, the EU Parliament, and the Court of Justice. And the law firm specifically focuses on product and food safety as well as international trade law. So that's kind of what I've been doing with that. But it's a program that was able to, connect our global ed office and our career services office. But I do know this is unique to the kind of situation that we have. But if Tom, do you want to mention kind of the more I don't know how I would put it, but maybe just the more regular internships that are offered through like Vesalius and these other institutions, like when you actually go abroad?
Sure. One of the things that we really try to do when our students are off campus is have them engage with the local community in very meaningful ways. What we don't want to do is have a group of American students all, sitting on a bus together, going around and kind of keeping to themselves. We want you to engage with local people. And obviously, if you're in a group of American students, you're going to spend time with them and go visit places and things like that, which is great. But internships and community service, for example, we try to provide those in as many of our programs abroad as we can, because it gets you out into the local community, engaging with local people who are different from you in all sorts of different ways, and also learning about some of the important issues, problems, challenges, whatever you can in that particular place. So some of our programs will incorporate credit-bearing internships, in a couple of cases, non-credit-bearing internships. A number of them incorporate community service opportunities or service learning courses like we have on campus. Other ways that we do that are by providing integrated housing opportunities. So, for example, when Shayna was in Spain, she lived with a host family. When Josh was in Maastricht, he lived in a student residence surrounded by students from the Netherlands and Germany and other places. And those are all opportunities to encourage you really to get out and meet other people. And then we also facilitate all sorts of other ways to do that. We encourage students, if they play a sport, try to find a way to do that while you're abroad, and we can help you with that. If you're interested in theater or music, joining local clubs and organizations, all are great ways to get to meet other people. And really that's the point of study abroad in large part. So yeah, it's a really nice opportunity for students to gain great experience.
Great. And I see there's some questions about the French programs that we have. It's kind of two parts. What study abroad options do we have in French-speaking countries? And how does your major and minor play into being able to study, say, in Aix-en-Provence, the program?
Okay, so
Specifically, specifically the students is interested in like environmental science, but
sure.
also combining it with the French program.
So the first question is pretty straightforward. We have programs. We have two different programs in France, in Aix-en-Provence, as you mentioned, and we just approved a new program in Grenoble, France, in the French Alps. We have an exchange program with Laval University in Quebec City, Canada, which is all French speaking. We have the program in Brussels that Josh has mentioned at Vesalius College. And it's a program where it's kind of a unique program in that courses are available in English. You can also take French language while you're there, or you can take Dutch if you prefer that. But you can also do a homestay with a French-speaking family. You could do an internship in a French-speaking organization. So it's really an opportunity for those students interested in French language acquisition. The second question is a really good one, and I'm glad it was asked. So the question is, does your major or minor have to be one of the focuses of the study abroad program you apply for? And the quick answer is it doesn't have to be. A good number of our students want to go abroad and continue studying their major in a different context. And there are many opportunities, obviously, to do that. Other students will come to us and say, well, I'm ahead in my major. Let's say I'm majoring in political science. I'm actually ahead in that, but I'm minoring in studio art. And I think what I'd like to do is maybe take a semester away from political science and focus on my minor or my goal requirements, which you may or may not be familiar with kind of the graduation requirements that we have, but they're called goals. And so most students do tend to focus on a major or a minor while they are abroad, but there are other students who may be ahead who can focus on goals or maybe a career interest. So the thing when you apply to go abroad is you do have to articulate an academic rationale for where you want to go. And that can be tied to major, minor goals, or again, maybe a personal career interest that you're interested in exploring. With regard to the X program in particular, and I'm happy, Kate, if you want to send me an email, perhaps I can even go into more detail. But we do have a search function on our website where you can kind of look at which programs offer courses in different areas. And it's really quite accurate, but because we can't list every single academic area that a program offers, sometimes it's not entirely clear. So environmental studies isn't exactly a focus in the X program, but there would be courses that you could take there that would potentially count towards environmental studies, depending on where you were in that. So again, I can get into more detail if you want to reach out to me directly, but that'll kind of give you a quick answer to that question.
Right. Yeah. And I can go off that a little bit. I'm an entrepreneurial studies minor. And when I went abroad to Maastricht, they didn't have entrepreneurial studies courses that directly translated to my minor, but I was able to take some courses that I would use as electives within my minor. So you can, take some courses abroad that might not be directly, core courses in your minor or major, but could be counted as electives. So that's a possibility as well, to be able to still get a couple of those done while you're abroad. As for the next question, did you want to add something, Tom?
Yeah, just really quick. And
Okay.
in my experience, I was really fortunate because I wasn't really aware of where I could transfer my credits, but with the help of Center of Global Education and my advisor on campus, I was able to transfer 3 out of the 4 classes to my major. And a lot of the classes that I had actually did fit into my my major and my minor with media and society and Spanish. So it really worked out in my favor, and the Center of Global Education and your advisor here, as well as the programs. I was with my faculty advisor in Spain, as well as the program that I was with, and they all really helped to shape where I could apply certain majors, certain classes. I apologize.
That's exactly one of the things I wanted to mention, Shana, thanks for pointing that out. One of the virtues of being at a small school is you can really get to have very involved conversations with your advisor and with staff in our office. And when I was mentioning before about planning early, that's what's so important about study abroad is if you meet with your advisor and you meet with our staff in our office, we will help you identify different programs that may not necessarily be obvious to you, like Josh was saying, but that you could get courses from that would help you fulfill your requirements. And so it's really important to engage with our office and with your advisor, because you may be kind of looking and thinking I have one or two options when in fact you may have multiple options. So again, a plug for engaging with us as early as you can. All of these courses that you're taking abroad are pre-approved, okay? So you know before you get on the plane that as long as you take those classes, here's how the credit is going to come back to HWS, because these courses and these programs are really integrated into our curriculum. We don't want any surprises when you get back to campus. So all of these things are pre-approved when you meet with your advisors.
All right, and the next question, how do the costs compare from studying abroad at HWS to, kind of your tuition on campus? Does the cost per semester carry over, or there are additional expenses?
This is a great question, and I'm glad. Thanks, Allison, for asking this one. The main thing, so I'm going to give you kind of a quick general answer and then a little bit more detail. But by and large, the cost for going abroad is going to be very comparable to being on campus. Okay, so that's the quick answer. The reason for that is if you go on one of our HWS programs, and again, we have over 50 different semester programs, all of your financial aid that you get to come to HWS, with the exception of work study, because we can't employ you per se while you're abroad, but everything else counts exactly as if you are on campus. Okay, these are our programs that we run. And so the billing, the way that you're billed varies from program to program because of room and board. What I mean by that is everybody will pay HWS tuition and fees. And again, all of your financial aid applies. Some of the programs have housing included, but if you're living in, say, a student residence like Josh was, there's not a meal plan per se like there is in a residential college in the US. Instead, you have kitchen facilities and you prepare your own meals. So instead of charging you room and board, we basically tell you, take that money with you and use it to cover your meals. And if you're good about spending and don't eat out every night, it'll actually cost you probably a little less. In a case like where Shana was, she was living in a homestay where meals were provided. In that case, then the room and board we charge is comparable. The only extra expenses that you'll have, you have to get there and get back. So you will have your airfare, of course. Some countries require visas, and those all differ in costs. They're not hugely expensive, but and some countries don't have them. So that varies a little bit. And then the semester while you're away, there's a $600 study abroad administrative fee. But while you're away, you don't have to pay the HWS activity fee, which last I checked was maybe around $250. So there's a little bit of a net there. But that kind of gives you a sense. And the main thing I want you to walk away with is if you can be at HWS, you can do one of our programs. There's not a huge amount of extra cost. And we do have different scholarships that you can apply for, travel assistance, travel grants, and things like that. So we try to make it accessible to everybody. And again, that financial aid policy is really key, because if you get aid, it counts exactly as if you're on campus. I think that was it as far as the costs. Again, if any of you have more specific questions, you're welcome to email me. And then Josh, while I'm watching, I see that next question about from Rachel, a question of whether it's first come, first serve, or how that works. So it's not first come, first serve. What happens is every semester we have that HWS Abroad information session, and that's kind of when we open up applications. So I'll walk you through how the fall works, and that'll give you a sense. Let's say September 10th, we have the info session. Then students will have a month from that date to submit an application to go abroad for fall 22. We tell students, we encourage you to apply to multiple programs. You can apply to as many programs as you want. The programs are competitive, and in a number of cases, we have a certain number of slots. And so that's why we encourage students to apply to multiple programs to give themselves a better chance to get accepted. There are certain GPA requirements for different programs. The minimum requirement to go on any program is a 2.5, but some programs have maybe a higher 2.75, 3.0. So you have to meet those requirements. And again, as part of the application process, you have to articulate an academic rationale for wanting to go to this place. So students, for example, that are science students, we have that science program in Queensland, Australia that I mentioned to you. You have to have a certain level of science. You have to have prerequisite courses, for example. So it may be your kind of life's dream to go to Australia, but if you're not in those appropriate science classes and don't have the GPA, for example, for that program, then we encourage you to look for another program. But our program menu is really broad, and we have programs to meet all of the different major and minors that we have on campus. Regardless of what you're studying, there will be options available to you, and in many cases, there'll be a lot of options. So I hope that helps to answer that question.
All right, perfect. I think that was the last question. I'll do one quick last call if there's one last question, if you can type fast. But really, if there's no more, do we have one? All right, we'll do one more. This will be our last question for the day. Thank you all. And are the programs all on the website?
Yes. So if you can go, it's very easy to find. There's two different ways to find it. But if you go on the HWS website, there'll be a link to global education. You can use the drop-down menu, or there'll be along the button bar there. I'm going to post my email address in case you want to send me questions directly. But if you go to the global education website, and then on our website, there'll be a button called Destinations. And if you click on that, there will be an individual web page for every one of our semester programs. And one thing I haven't mentioned is our short-term programs. We do offer every year short-term 3 to 4 week programs in a variety of different locations. And these are in the J term between semesters, December, January, or in the summertime. And they're great opportunities for students. We hope everybody will do a semester program. We really try to emphasize going abroad for a longer period of time. But if for whatever reason you can't, or you want to do a semester program and a short-term program, even better, we encourage you to do that. But there are web pages for those short-term programs there as well. And they work a little bit differently in terms of funding and financial aid. I don't have a lot of time to go into that today, but they're pretty inexpensive, and they all are worth 1 HWS credit. So it's a great opportunity to get ahead or catch up if you need to. And, I'm looking at the time, realizing that we're running short. So I do want to encourage you, please email us if you have any questions. Take advantage of talking to students like Josh and Shayna and others that you might come across about what their experiences were like. And, we hope to see you on campus in the fall.